My guest on today's podcast is team leader of the most successful team in Trackmania at the moment, so I thought, why not have him on the podcast to talk about the current scene in the team events, and also to talk about a little bit about the history of the French guy. But first and foremost, Link, how are you? And welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks. I'm good, and you?
Yeah, I'm good. A little bit cold here because it's starting to get a bit wintry here in Norway, but for people that might not know who you are, the first question is always, can you introduce yourself? What do we need to know about you?
I'm called Mathieu in real life. I'm 25 years old now, so that's a bit old. I'm like one of the oldest guys in the scene, I guess.
Hey, I'm 25. I don't feel old.
Yeah, yeah, but I always see recently a lot of young people under 18 years old or under 20, and even in the team, I'm one of the oldest. So yeah, it's always surprising because I always used to be one of the youngest when I started the game, and now I'm one of the oldest. So time flies, you know.
Does that make you feel sad, or does that make you feel like, okay, I am the one who needs respect because I'm the oldest one?
But I don't care.
That's a mentality. I don't care.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But yeah, I finished my studies last year, and I'm currently having a little job right now. And yeah, I'm playing this game since 2006, I would say. Don't remember exactly, but that's around this time I started. And yeah, that's it.
That's 13 years ago. Why did you start so early, and how did you get into the game? Because 13 years ago, you were 12 years old.
That's correct. I think it started. Someone in my family gifted me Trackmania Sunrise Opel demo in 2005 or 2006, like right when it was released. Then I got this game, and it was on the Bay environment at the time. And I don't know, I played this game. It had a few tracks, few race tracks, few stunt tracks, a few puzzle tracks, I think. And I really enjoyed it. And then in the next year, I had got a friend, my best friend basically, that showed me the game, the Trackmania Nations ESWC game, and I just fell in love with it, and yeah, ever since I played this game.
So what's the
mostly stadium?
Sorry, go ahead.
I said mostly stadium.
Yeah, okay.
Then I started not on stadium, but then I switched to stadium, and I stayed on stadium like all the time.
Yeah, so was there a major difference when you discovered the stadium environment because you were used to Sunrise? Or did it feel a bit weird in the start?
No, it didn't feel weird because I guess I stopped playing Bay after a few times. So when I started Stadium, then I didn't have the Bay mechanics fresh in my mind, I would say. So it made no difference, and I really enjoyed it because of all the sounds. Like, I must admit that the sounds and all the music that were in the game at this time were really sick, and it's like, to me also, like, gave me a really nice feeling while playing all the musics and stuff. And I don't know, the whole environment and the feel to play with a friend and stuff, that was really cool. Yeah.
But have you ever jumped back into the first game you played to have some sort of nostalgic memories as you were a kid? Or?
I tried, but when you want to run ESWC, you need to have a lower version of Windows, and I don't have that. And actually, on my old PC at my parents' house, when I visited them last time, I played a bit of ESWC. I even played online. You can join online servers. Some are still running, and that's really sick to see. And yeah, I try to, when I can, when I'm back to my parents, to try to play this game a bit, but like a few minutes, not more, just to have this feeling again, and then I just turn off the game. And yeah.
But is there? Is it weird to jump back into the game when you are at your parents' place? Because it's a game that was produced 13 years ago, but there are a lot of similarities between TMWC and Team2 Stadium.
It feels like it's almost the same game, I would say. Like playing wise, it's like kind of the same. If you remove the bugs and this thing, purely when you drive the car, it feels the same kind of. And yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
I've spoken to some people and they say that Trackmania was ahead of its time in the esport world, and now maybe they are sort of behind the current scene in the esport world. Would you say that maybe the reason why you got so addicted to Trackmania, or at least fell in love with it, because it was ahead of its time?
Yeah, and I really like racing games in general, and I played racing games basically my whole life. Before starting TM, I was playing on my PS2 a lot of Need for Speed or Burnout games or whatever, Formula 1 games, and I still do, by the way. But I went into this game mostly because I love car games, and because this was like the first online car game that I was playing, and just meeting people and stuff became addictive. And I didn't feel it was ahead of its time because at the time I was too young to think about this kind of things. I was just playing the game, Yeah. And that's it, yeah. Just because I love car racing games.
But how long would you say that you played Trackmania before you tried to become one of the best players in the game? Was it already from the start? Was it a period where you just played for fun or casually? Or how would you summarize the step from being a casual player to be somewhat a professional player?
I think like I played from 2006 to 2009 like really casually. I didn't know how to drift. I was when there was Trackmania United Forever, then when came out, I played all the other environments than Stadium, so snow, desert, etc. But I was really bad at it, but I was still enjoying playing different things. But then I had to pause, and then I think 2011 I started again, and only on Stadium, and I joined the team, and that's where I saw that I had potential and that I could. I wanted more, and I wanted to do matches and discover this competitive aspect of the game. And from 2011 to 2019, I constantly tried to improve myself and to be at the top. And I would say when I started to be really competitive was when I joined AT Gaming, I would say, or Furor a bit before, like 2014 around. So for 3 years, I was like doing okay times, I would say, in tech maps. But I was in match, I was not the best player, and then I was trying to improve. And then in 2014, 2015, I started to be a good player. Yeah. So yeah, it took me a long time.
But was there a moment where you felt that, okay, that match is a match where I stepped up, or was it a slow progress where over time you just gradually become better, and slow, like a moment where you can put your fingers on and saying, okay, there I can see that I actually become a better player?
I think it was like a gradually progression through the years. And I can remember one match indeed where I popped off. Like the first match, I played really well, and it was because I got some insight and some advices, like really precise advices of what to do in match, what to think in match from a teammate at the time, and it really helped me like pass the gap, and become someone that matters in match, I would say. Like before, even if I was playing matches and I knew how to drift and how to be fast, I was still not really helping the team win matches, etc. And from this match on, where I got all the advices and stuff, I became better at doing matches and stuff. And yeah, it was like gradually progression, but I can remember the time when it really became different and better.
But do you remember those advices today? What were those advices, if there is any players out there who's looking to become a good player today?
Yeah, the advice was like really basic, but I never thought about it before. It was it from Ranked or from Tube? One of those two players gave me this advice. I think it was Tube. Don't know if you know him. Like, he's retired now. I was training and he saw that I was not very consistent, and then he told me, man, just focus on finishing the run. Just try to finish every run. And I was like, oh yeah, why shouldn't I try to do this? And then every run, I started the run in training, I mean, and I was like, okay, this run I finish without a major mistake and like 0.5 behind world record at max, or 0.6, whatever. Like a normal run, you know, like not too fast, but you don't crash and stuff. And I started to do this training phase, and I was finishing all the runs, and I was very consistent. And I remember I had like 300 points on the server, so it was like 30 finishes, because one finish gives 10 points when you train mostly. So I had 300 points, and then someone joined the server and told me, wow, you just no-lifed and stuff, you finished 30 times. And I just said, no, I was just very consistent. I didn't even train 1 hour to get all those points. I was just finishing all the runs. Yeah, that's the advice I can give to players that want to improve their matches, can be in tech or in dirt, in full speed, in RPG, whatever. You just try to finish the runs, even if they're not fast. And that's what I'm telling the players when I'm playing some tournaments with players that are beginning matches and stuff. In training, I always tell them to try to finish the rounds and stuff. And even at the beginning, when Complex had struggles to, for example, be regu and finish the runs in match or in training, I was telling him to just try to finish and stuff. And I don't know if he really used it, but even recently, I use still this method. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of.
But now
go ahead.
I would say that now I'm not thinking about this anymore, but I should try to finish all the rounds in practice, because I know that I don't need this training method to perform in match. So I just got used to it. But if you start to do matches and stuff, then that's a step to get, I think.
Yeah, but do you have any problems with teammates coming in that maybe is young and up and coming, and they just want to have their name on the daddy list, so they basically hunt for the best times instead of being consistent as you want, or as you said?
Holy shit. So you just described Ken's. Oh my god. Ken's is the guy that wants to have the DD1 at all costs, even if he has to get no sleep. For example, to get it, he will no life the whole night to have it. Or when you say that you get a nice time on the map and stuff, then Ken's will instantly say, which map, give me the link, I will play it, I will try to beat you and stuff. So he's really hunting down hard, but at the same time he's also consistent in match, so he's a really good player. But no, it's like at this level, at the highest level, the players know what to do, and like they can hunt for the best time, but they also know that they how to perform in match mostly.
Most players I speak about, when they talk about their team career, they say that they reach a certain point in that team, become the best players, and then they look for other teams to maybe grow as a player even more. How was your team history, and why did you eventually jump from one team to another?
So my team history is really, really, really long. Well, you can imagine if I started in 2006. Yeah. I guess I had at least 20 teams in my history. But mostly it was like when I joined the game, I just like people had a tag on the servers I was playing. They had the tag of their team, and the colors looked cool and stuff. So I wanted the same. I didn't really know what it meant to be in the team. I just wanted to have the tag and stuff. So at the beginning, I joined teams only for the tag because it looked cool with the colors, etc. Then when in 2011, I started to be good at the game again and stuff. No, before that, I joined a lot of teams with friends. So I had probably 10 teams in 2 years between 2009 and 2010 or 2011. I had probably 10 teams because it was always a team with a friend.
Yeah.
We wanted to recruit players, then it didn't work, so we create another team, etc. But then after that, when I had my young period that was over, when I wanted to become a better player, then I joined the DDP in 2011, I think, French team with some friends there. I stayed, I think, 2 years there, or 1.5 years at least. Then I joined Führer right after. So it was also a team French, full of French players for 2 years again. Then I would say 2014, I joined AT Gaming, ZrT, that became V Plus and AT Gaming. And then in 2015, I joined Acer. I joined Acer. I was in test phase. Then I passed the test phase. Then Acer got dropped, like the sponsor dropped the TM section. Then we were no team for half a year or something, I would say. And then Team Expert recruited us in 2016, I believe. July 2016. And in August 2016, we were announced. Then we got dropped by Team Expert in early 2017, I think. Then I joined AAA a bit to do like a team tournament. I did 1 or 2 team tournament with AAA at the time in 2017. Then I joined PKD in summer 2017, and I'm in this team since then.
Yeah. Let's jump back to Team Acer. That was maybe the first time I heard about you, because that was basically the time I joined the esport world. How did you eventually got to the trial in Acer? Who of the players in the Team Acer reached out and say, "Hey, do you want to test drive for us?"
Well, I was in AT Gaming at the time, and I felt like the team was stagnating. Like there was not much motivation out of the players, not much training, not much presence in the matches, in the training, in the conversations. So I was really attached to this team, but I felt like it was the time for me to step up and try to join another team that would make me better. So I was looking for teams, and then I set my goals really high, and I said, okay, why shouldn't I join one of the best teams in the game? Because AT Gaming at the time was like probably top 6 team of the game, but I wanted more, and I just saw that Team Acer was a bit short on the roster, that they needed players. So I asked them directly. I joined a few training sessions on the private server, talked a lot with them, started to train with Royal, that became a really good friend with the time. And I basically started it. Like, I don't think they would ever have asked me. So I started it, and they said okay, yeah, I'm gonna try you out and stuff. And there's a team cup incoming, so try you out and stuff. So it went okay. Like I didn't do my best matches and stuff, but it was fine enough, and they needed players anyway. So I got accepted after the competition, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
How long were you then in Team Acer before they eventually disband and become a Team Water Bottle or Water Bottle?
Yeah, I can't recall very much. I think it was a few months. I joined really at the end of the Acer era. 4 months top.
Okay. But did that have anything or hurt your motivation? Because, okay, now I joined a good team, a good organizations, and then the org itself drops out.
No, I didn't join for the org itself. I just joined for the team mostly.
Yeah, okay.
For the players and for the history of the team. I didn't join for the org to have a contract and blah, blah, blah. I didn't want this specifically. I just wanted to be with the best players and compete in the highest level.
Yeah.
So having the acer dropping down, of course, it was like not having the tag anymore, not being recognized as a team acer anymore. So it hurt a bit, but it didn't hurt my motivation. Just I didn't think about it in the next day, I think.
But can you tell or take us behind the scenes there? How did the group react to it? Was it, okay, everybody's gonna leave for different orgs? Was it a positive that, okay, we stick together and find a new org together? How was the feeling inside the group itself?
Absolutely not. We didn't want to part ways. We wanted to play together because we had a nice feeling together, and we had fun training together and be together, talk, etc. So we just wanted to stay together. No one said at any point, as much as I can recall, that they wanted to leave, etc. We instantly said, I think Frostbuell said that Team Acer drops us, and then everyone say, oh, whatever, what name should we take and stuff. So we right away tried to find a name and a logo for the team. So no one really cared too much, I would say.
But was it harder than find a new organization? Was it a tough process, or was it kind of easy?
I believe it was tough because we sent offers and we got negative replies all the time. If we got replies, because a lot of organizations didn't reply. But when we got a reply, it was like, yeah, TM is not big enough, etc. So we had no organization for a few months before I think Royal, or I don't know who was it? I think Royal came to us, or maybe Race Hunts, and said, guys, you remember the org leader of Team Acer? Then it's the same, he's creating a new organization, but under another name and stuff, and they want us to play for them and stuff. So it's basically the same people, but with a different name. And we instantly said yes. And yeah, that's how it started. It was the same people that knew us, that knew our potential and our team, our players and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, how was the time then in Team Acer? Because that is one of the more unique stories, I would say, that first they had the old Team Acer lineup joining, and then eventually also the old Team Dignitas lineups joins in. How would you summarize the team or the stay in Team Acer?
You mean the Team Expert?
Oh, yeah, Team Expert, sorry.
That's a good question. I think it felt really special at first to be part of something new. And it was like, then there was always this Acer Dignitas rivalry at the time.
Yeah.
And and then when we heard that the president, the team leader of Expert wanted to recruit the Team Dignitas players, because Team Dignitas was dropping their team roster as well, then I think we were a bit surprised, a bit shocked, maybe some of us. But I think some of us were also really happy, saying that it was great and stuff. But at the time when they announced this, it was really confusing. When they said, "Oh, guys, they're gonna have the Dignitas player into Team Acer and stuff," we were like, "Oh, are they gonna kick us for them? Are they? What's going on? What's gonna happen?" And then we found out that they would call them Expert Black, and that it would be two different teams but with the same name. And then it made sense that they recruit them because they had the best players of the game pack: Car Junior, Massa, Spam, all the world champions, Bergie, etc. Like all of them are like 7 times world champions, so it made really sense that they get them rather than us or in top of us. And yeah, but in the end, it ended that there were too many players and they had to cut off the number of players.
Yeah. But did you feel then that you had some pressures on your shoulder? Because it's weird that an organization has 2 teams, at least in a game like Trackmania.
No, I had no pressure. Like the only pressure I had was to show that who was the better team expert. But it was not. I was at what's the word? Fuck. At no point I was thinking that I have my spot on the line and that I should do really good and stuff, because I thought it would just go on. And at the time, I didn't really know how organizations and stuff work in TM. It was my first real organization with Team Acer, Team Expert. So I was not too worried, but I should have been more worried. And yeah.
How did eventually the news came across you then when they decided to kick some players? Was there voting on who was going to stay? Was it some leader saying that, okay, these players are the ones we pick, or how did that process end up?
We don't really know. I don't really know how it worked, but I can, as far as I can remember, we were in the conversation in Skype at the time, and John, who was our team manager, wrote in the conversation, "Okay, guys, Team Expert is gonna do big moves. There was like a lot of discussion going on, and we have to cut off the number of players in Team Expert. That's why we had to select players from both lineups to be in the final roster that will be under the name Team Expert Black. And here's the list of players who are still in the team." And then when I saw that there was not my name, of course, I was really frustrated. And I saw like some of the names were, I would say, I couldn't understand why some were picked instead of me, or instead of Ray Sans, for example, or Kunz, whatever. And yeah, it was really surprising and upsetting. And I right away asked John, what the fuck is going on? What are the motives for selecting the players and stuff, etc. And he said that I was not active enough at the time, but it was a period of time where I had exams. If I knew that I had to show myself and that I had to be more active, then I would have, but I didn't know. So that's why I was the most upset about. I think that I didn't show that I was worth being in this team instead of other players that were also not active. I don't know if I want to name some, but I could, but I don't want to make enemies. But yeah, some players that were in Team Dignitas and Team Expert Black then were not active and were never playing, and are at the moment not playing the game anymore. So I felt like some of them took my spot, or some spot of my teammates and felt a bit unfair at the time. But we didn't know really who took the decisions. Like, I think it was the team owner and each captain of each team. So John and Bergie, I think. And I think Bergie had a lot of weight on the players they choose, because it was mostly expert black players that got chosen, even though they were not active, as I said.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you think then maybe instead of skill-wise, it comes down to maybe name value and how good friends they were with each other?
Definitely, and also skill-wise, probably I was on the lowest of them all. Like, you cannot compete with Car Junior, Opac, or Serbi. I mean, it's really hard to compete with those guys and to make a name like those guys. And for sure, it played a role, but of course, the skill wise was playing a role as well. Yeah.
But then, what was your next step in your career? Was it a little motivation drop down? Was it more motivations to say, okay, I'm gonna prove those guys wrong. I'm gonna become better than ever?
I think I had motivation drop like right after the announcement. I was pissed, etc. But it's always like when you lose a match that you should not lose, for example, then you're pissed, and in the next day it's fine. Yeah. Then it was the same feeling, and yeah, I think in the next day we were talking with other players that were not selected to be part of the team. So Sky, Bex, Zami, mostly, that still wanted to be competitive, and we wanted to stick together, except Zami that went back to his previous team in Lioncast. But Bex and Sky, we wanted to stay to stick together, and that gave us more motivation. And then we joined AAA at the time, that lacked players and lacked motivation. So we thought it would be a good move to join them and try to win the next team tournament. So all in all, it was fine, I would say. I just bounced back.
But then, why did your team, or why did you stay so short in Against All Authority, one of the bigger organizations in France, at least in Trackmania?
Because it was a mess, man.
How come?
Just inactivity. No one cared. Like, we were talked a lot by Snakey, which was the team captain at the time, and absolutely wanted us to join. So Sky, Bex, and me, he absolutely wanted us to join the team, and he really gave us good reasons and stuff. And then we were a bit blinded, I guess, and we joined them. And then we got a reality check really fast, and the team was not active. People were not training, and there were like no one really was managing the team, and that's what really annoyed me most. On top of everything, it was that we were playing, but no one was managing us. No one was saying, okay, guys, we play this team, we have to train, we play at this time. Like, team management was not really good. Like, no one was doing it, and I felt like I wanted to be in the team where it got better on this point. Have a team that cared more about matches and about team training, and yeah, that's why we left after one or two tournaments, because we saw that it was not working and people were not putting as much effort as we wanted. So yeah.
And then what was your next day then? What was the next team you jumped to?
I jumped, like, Bex went inactive, and with Sky we wanted to stay together. And we saw that PKD had a few slots open, or that was one of the best teams at the time. So we just, I think, asked Renew. We said I asked the previous manager of PKD, which was Flame Cron or Flame in TM.
Yeah.
and I asked him. I said, "Yo, we want to join." No, actually, I wanted to join alone. Like Sky went a bit inactive, so I joined alone. I said, "Yo, I want to join the team and stuff." Then he talked Renew about it because Renew was like the team leader, and they said, "Okay, you're in the trial phase for the next competition. If you do good, then you're taken. If you don't do very good, then you're not taken." And I had a lot of pressure because Flame told me that Renew was really strict on the performance-wise of the trial players. So I had a lot of pressure on myself, and I wanted to do really good. And then Sky joined eventually later the team in trial as well.
And how would you describe the scenes you joined in PKD? Obviously, there were, when Dignitas were around, it was basically the team that challenged Team Dignitas. But when you joined, how would you describe the scenes there?
I think it was when Dignitas started to drop down in motivation in team events, and that the players were starting to part ways. So it was like I didn't face Dignitas with PKD. I think they. I don't think they disbanded, but they were not playing just team competitions, and we were playing against E-Corp mostly, which was the best team then.
Yeah.
Instead of Dignitas, E-Corp was the best team and was the team to beat. So the team was like already dropping down. The scene was dropping down in attendance of the biggest teams, and yeah, so it was still challenging because we didn't win for a long time. But yeah, it felt like it was less challenging because there was no Acer and no Dignitas anymore, or no team expert anymore. Yeah.
But yeah, and PKD is also the place where you stepped up from a player and into a team leader. How did that eventually happen? That you went from being a player in the squad to being the actual leader of the squad?
Yeah, that's complicated, but I was same than AAA. I was not happy how the team was managed. Like I felt like there was no real leader inside the team that was trying to motivate the players and trying to get the best out of the team. Because don't get me wrong, we had a really big roster, but we had no results for a long time because of the lack of motivation and the lack of training. And this was because players were not talking. No one was there to ask them to train and to be motivated to play, etc. So I felt like it was really lacking leadership, you know. And I can't doing nothing and just see a team crumble, and I want to get the best out of the team I am in. So I naturally like talked with like the most important players in PKD, like Renew, Flame, Flow, and said that I wanted to lead this team and make it great again, and that's what happened. Like Flame eventually dropped down as a manager, and then I took his place then, and then I tried to bring what was lacking in the team.
And did you feel any pressure then? Because once PKD was managed by Flow, they basically won a lot of titles. But then, like you said, it's been a little period where they didn't win too much. Did you feel any pressure about, okay, maybe I should bring them up to the standard they had? Or was it relaxed then because there was already a little bit of messy before you joined as a team leader?
I don't know. Like I didn't feel pressure, I would say, because of Flo and because of his history in the team. But of course, I wanted to win, and I don't feel like it impacted me, the history of Flow and PKD. Just it was a bit hard times, and I could have tried to do anything, then it wouldn't have worked, because at the time we didn't have the number of players really active, really training and stuff. So even though I wanted to bring the best and stuff, it was really hard, because if you don't have the players, then you can't do it all yourself. And it was no pressure, but I was not either thinking that, oh, it's fine, because before I joined the team, it was not doing good as well, etc. So it was neither one of those options. It was just, okay, let's try to move on and make it better. And yeah, eventually it happened, yeah.
But what was the biggest challenge as a team leader? What was the thing maybe you didn't expect to have problems with that you maybe had a problem with?
I thought I could motivate more the players, and that we could start winning a game again, and not be eliminated really quick in the team cups, or losing matches that we shouldn't lose. So I felt, I think, a bit of frustration when I saw that we had a lot of good players, but I could not motivate them, or I could not get the best out of them for some time. And I felt like we really needed a change, and we really needed new players, and we needed really a fresh start. So there was one day where I said that, I had a talk with Renew, because everything that I do and everything that I did since I joined PKD as a team leader, I don't do anything without talking to Renew first. So Renew and me, we decided to kick a lot of players in the team after a few months, because they were not active, and because it was dragging down the team motivation and the team performance a lot, and that's starting to recruit a lot of new players, and that's where it started to rise again for us.
And how did you then pick the players that were eventually kicked? You've been on the other side of it when you got kicked from Team Expert, but how did you go ahead when you was going to kick some players?
That's a good question. The answer is, I don't remember. No. I think it was clear who would stay in the team and who wouldn't, and no one would doubt the choices. And we didn't really say that people were kicked. We just created a new chat group with all the players that were selected, let's say, or that would stay in the team at the time. And at no point, I think, we said that, oh, you guys are kicked off the team. We just said that we made a new lineup with more competitive players, and that's it. And whoever feels in this group of players that were not in, whoever had more motivation in the future and stuff could still, of course, join us, because it's like a family, and you don't want to kick players or make enemies, you know. Like, I felt like I was new in this team, and I was making decisions that I shouldn't, because I was trying to respect those players, but at the same time I was trying to make a new team, and that was working more. So I felt like I had no right to come into this team and to say, okay, we take those players, we don't take those players. And it felt a bit weird, but it was a step that I had to make, and I don't regret it, because all the players that were not active and stuff didn't become active anymore after the announcement. So it was the right choice to make. But it was basically with Renew we chose them on the activity over the last year, and it was clear like really who wanted still to be in the team and who didn't care anymore. So yeah.
But then when you kicked a lot of players or left a lot of players, would you then have to recruit new players? And if so, how did that process go ahead?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when this happened, but I think we had a really strong core. We had still 5 to 6 players left in the team, so we just needed a couple more, and we recruited some players. And I think that's the time where Complex messaged me, and he said that he was interested to join the team. So it was like the perfect moment. Like he needed a team, and we needed players. So of course we took him in, and then we still had, I believe, Dovi that was active then, that could fill the last spot, and or no, Dovi that came back. He was not in the list that was kicked, let's say, or that was left behind, but he came back after this big move, and he said, "Okay, guys, I'm back," and stuff. So we said, "Oh, great, we have spots open." So we just took those 2 players. As far as I can remember, that's all, and that's how it went. Then I think that's the first step of the new PKD.
But would you say that the feeling inside the team itself rises when you were a team leader? That maybe some players got more motivations, now everything is up and running again, and it was eventually just a ball that started rolling. When some people are starting to get motivated, more people are motivated, and then suddenly the whole team is motivated.
Yeah, well, we saw this the last year, but you asked this for PKD, right?
Yeah.
Not for Fury. Well, when I was team leader, after the renew of the team, we still had a couple rough team events. Like TMM, we had a really bad result last year. Then some other tournaments we had really bad results, but it was not a motivation problem. It was mostly a contextual problem, let's say it like this, because we had always issues with the team, like some players that had family issues, health issues, I don't know, active issues because of a material problem. We had really a long period where this happened, where every team competition there was one player that couldn't play because someone was in the hospital or because there was something going on in his life that he couldn't play, and this impacted the team motivation down. But eventually, after all of this was solved, after an unlucky phase, let's say, where we didn't perform, then we started to it was at the end of the year, last year, so 2018, end of 2018. We didn't have really good results, and then we entered the competition Premiership 20, so the last tournament, with not big hopes, I would say, into making it far into the tournament, because the team motivation was not really high, because of the bad results of the year. And we eventually made it out of groups and won the semi-final and made it to the final and lost in the final. But we didn't really expect this result. And when we saw that we were capable of winning and we were so close of winning, then it started to rise up our motivation, and it never decreased since. So it was the element that started everything to lose the team tournament last year.
But then you had a good momentum. You eventually got some good results in PKD. But then why did you eventually leave PKD once you actually got something running, once you actually got the squad up and doing good results?
because we had players that had more ambition than just playing team tournaments, and for a long time I was like talking with the PKD team owners, and it was like a really harsh communication. It was really hard to reach out to them, and it was like they were not replying for weeks or not replying at all. So I had to find someone else who I could go through to get a message to them and stuff. So I felt like the communication was really broken, and we could not get anything out of PKD anymore. And when I say it was the team, like everyone, especially Renew as well. We felt like it was time for us to move forward and to try to have an organization that would care more for us and that would put more onto the line for us. So we had big ambitions, and we knew that it would be hard to maybe find a new organization that would be interested in so many players into Trackmania, because it's not that big esport game. But we tried it because we thought that anyway PKD would not give us anything anymore, and why not just trying? And that's what we did.
But how eventually they will go ahead when you try to reach new organizations? Is it sending a lot of emails? Is it to ask every player if they have some contacts? How do you start the process of finding a new organization?
I contacted some people that I know are into organizations that have contacts and stuff, and I asked them if they know any organization that might be interested. So that's the first step, and then after that I did a lot of research. I found a lot of organizations, and I just said, okay, why not just sending an email to all of them and see who replies and try to have a reply. So I prepared like a document to present the team and stuff, and our achievements and what we want to achieve in the future, etc. Why we want to have an organization and stuff. And I sent a lot of emails. I believe 30 or 40 different emails to different organizations, and I got a few replies. Like in the next day I sent those emails, I got a reply from Fury. So yeah, but that was really fast.
Yeah, but would you say that maybe it was easier to reach new organizations after you had done some good at team events? Let's say that you did it before CPS. Would it then been harder, or would it eventually become the same process?
I actually don't know. I really don't know. I think. Well, I think when the organizations see in the document that we won stuff recently, it's obviously a good add-on for them to recruit us. But I don't know if we didn't win anything in 2018, I wouldn't have included like results into the document mostly. And I don't know if it would have made a difference. Actually, that's interesting.
But then you said that you got a reply from Fury. Was it then yourself that took the decisions of joining Fury? Did you ask the teammates what they thought about it?
No,
how
of
did
course
you
not.
get down to it?
Of course not. I don't take any decision on myself. Really, I don't want to be the one to choose for everyone. I just try all the time to discuss things and to try to take a decision altogether. And when we had Fury, we had other options, but we when I had the Fury answer, I of course linked the message to the team so everyone could read it, say what they think of it. Then I talked more deeper about it with Renew, but it's like every decision I take that is really important is not on my own, and I try to involve my team as much as I can. Because it's what I do is not for me only; it's for the team. And if I take decisions for myself, then it makes no sense. So I, of course, like I'm the one who made the final decisions and stuff. But it was always a talk with the team before.
But how would you summarize the response from the group itself once you said, okay, we have an organization interested, it's Fury? Did any of those have actually heard the name Fury before, or?
I believe Novice, but I'm not sure because he's Czech and the organization is Czech as well. I think no one knew. And then Novice checked it really fast, and he said, yeah, I see, and stuff. And but no, we didn't know it, and yeah.
But
don't know.
But what was the trigger point that made you pick Fury over any other organization? Was it LAN support? Was it social media? What was the eventual trigger point?
LAN support mostly. And it's like we have LAN support, but it's not full LAN support. So it's like we felt like if we want to attend to something, then we still have to get it a bit from our own pocket, and it really makes responsibility for the players. If they want to make an event, then they really have to want it, because then they have to get something out of the pocket themselves. So we felt like it was a good compromise, that we couldn't find anything better for a whole team like us. So we felt like the offer was really good, and for LAN events, for some other details, etc. But that's mostly what we wanted, for a few players that wanted to participate more in events.
But would you say that you're still a team that is mostly focused about online team events, or are you now transitioning into becoming one of these online team or offline team events as well, or teams as well?
I believe we can become like I don't know next year if we will be as active as we were this year in team events. I mean, as trained, etc. Because I think with the path the game is taking, then we should more focus on the offline aspect from now on. But we have to wait and see, and see if it's the good call. But I think that it's maybe not worth anymore putting all the efforts on the online aspect of the game. And I don't know, I'm thinking about it for a few days, a few weeks now, that what's going to become the team in the next year if the game really develops in offline events, etc. with TMGL, for example. I still haven't talked with other players yet, but I'm trying to make good solutions first, and then come up with something. Also, I'm thinking about this because I can say it here that a few of our players are not gonna renew the contract that we have at the end of the year. A couple of players are not gonna renew the contract, so we will have less players than we have now. And we need to see if it's still worth doing this online, or trying to focus on offline more than online.
Is there any names that you want to say that is quitting the game, or are they finding new organizations? Why are those players not renewing with Fury?
Well, I won't give any names because you will see soon enough. End of the year, news should come out. But as far as I know, one player doesn't have the time anymore to play, and the other has less motivation to play in the game in general, and feels like he needs something new. And yeah.
Okay, so we brought up the reason or the motivation to play team events. I think that is maybe one of the stories of the year, that team events nowadays doesn't feel like the team events did back when you were playing in Expert, Acer, or whatever. Why is the drop in the hype around team events gone so low? We saw in the Planet, or was it the PDC Cup? It was once it was a POV of your players, Fury, or Chiller side, I guess, was the POV. And it was only the only stream that streamed it. Why is the hype so low around team events at the moment?
PDC, you said?
Yeah, PDC, yeah, I guess.
Third Cup?
No, what the
PTC.
Yeah, the cup hosted by Asura and
yes.
Bara. It's too many cups.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It's a tough question. I feel like people are more interested in solo events nowadays, and time goes by, and the best players of the game kind of left the online scene. As you said last time, last year World Cup, like not even half of the players are playing team events nowadays.
Yeah.
So it's like the top of the game is not really playing online anymore because they don't find fun, because they don't have time, because they want to focus more on events where they can win money and exposure. So I feel like it's the path the game is taking, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like players are less excited in general to play the team events, and just leave it for more casual or more less professional players. That professional players just focus on doing big tournaments and winning money. I feel that's the reason.
But
that's the reason also, like, there is no Acer, there's no Dignitas anymore. There's like a few teams that dropped down over the years that made the competition, how hard it is to win a competition, dropping the motivation down for a few people, I would say. And in general, some players are growing up in age and don't have time anymore, don't have motivation anymore to play. And even if new players are coming, the new players don't have top level to fight for the win. So that's why I think there's less and less teams playing and less competition between the teams, is because the oldest players are not playing anymore, or playing offline events, and the newest players cannot compete for the top. And that's a global motivation breakdown, or I don't know how to say.
Yeah. But is there anything that you can do to switch this around so that maybe team events get some momentum? Or is it we just have to accept this and the team events eventually just go down a downward spiral and it's just casual approach in the end?
I don't think team events will drop down until they disappear, because there's always up and downs, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's like in the full speed scene, like last year, the full speed scene had no many people. Then they had the 2v2 tournament or 1v1 tournament. And then there was a lot of registered, or ZrT Cup. It was the same. So it's really depending on the time of the year and the time people want to put in effort in the game. So I feel like it can go downhill, but it can bounce back at any time, and it depends on the time of the year, the motivation of the players, their availabilities, etc. But having, I would dream to have actually team tournaments in like offline events. It would be really sick, like 3v3 finals.
Yeah.
In somewhere in offline events, it would be really sick, and for the show, it would be a really good show, I think, and it would be really exciting to watch. But that's not the direction the game is tending to go now, so that's not gonna happen.
But what does Trackmania miss when or let's say that team events eventually dies out? What does Trackmania miss? Because last year at the CPS, the final against PKD and M&M was one of the better matches of the year. It was thrilling from the first sub-match to the last sub-match. What does the game eventually miss if team events dies out?
I don't know.
It's losing a big aspect, right? Because team events has always been there.
Yeah, but it feels like Nadeo are really focusing on the new aspect of the game, and try to bring the solo players really light on, and they also call them the champions. So it's like people that can refer, like new people can refer to those people, say, oh, they are the champions, they are so good at the game and stuff. So people are like looking more at the individual skill than team skill, and I think that's a reason of why the game is liking team events, motivation, and these kind of things. But I don't know. In general, it's hard to say.
Carl Jr. said
it's hard to say.
Yeah. Carl Jr. said that maybe the game is too small at the moment for team events to be exciting. Maybe just have 2 or 3 good teams if every, like Dignitas and Acer was basically more or less assumed to be in the final. But if the game grows up, maybe the team events can come back if they get new players and new organizations to recruit people. Is that something you see in the future as well, or?
Yeah, could happen. Also, you can just create a team with your friends, or create a team and recruit players without having an organization and participate in team events. So you don't need, like, it's not because the game is going to grow that it's going to bring organizations for team events. I don't think that the game is going to grow and that it's going to bring organizations for team events. It's going to bring organizations for solo events, but not for team events.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because the game is going to grow that the team events are going to get better organization-wise. But it could, of course, if the game gets more popular, it gets more players, then of course a lot of those players are going to explore what's going to be in the game. And there's going to be more full-speed players, more dirt players, more tech players, and there's going to be more team events for sure with more teams. And it's like, if it expands, then every aspect of the game is going to expand. But do we want, like, imagine that the game grows like a CSGO or whatever, that there's the same player base? I don't think we will be able to play the team events anymore, because there will be so many teams and it will be impossible to do teams and brackets and stuff. So we want it to grow, but till a certain point, I think. And I don't know if it makes sense what I said.
Yeah, sure, it makes sense.
Yeah. I feel if the game grows, it's good, but it's not going to bring organizations to team events. Just maybe more people that here and there are going to like tech or like full speed or like dirt and try to get in a team, and then there's going to be eventually more players. But you have to know that the events that are organized by Nadeo, ZrT, like the ZrT Cup, etc., all the players are just active during the ZrT phase of the game, and they only know the ZrT aspect of the game. Like, I think it's like a really huge percentage of those players that have no idea what the game is besides ZrT. So it's like you have to bring new players. If the game grows, you can bring new players and stuff, but you have to show them as well what the possibilities are in the game. And there's every day more and more content be shared in the game, like new title packs with new game modes and all these kind of things. And all those players that are brought, they don't find out, I feel like, all these kind of things. There's too few every year new players that are in the tech scene, for example.
Yeah. But let's say that you grew up in a time where there weren't team events. Would you say that you would have become the good player that you are today? Because you said that the moment where you realize that maybe you become a better player is from advice from a team player.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have. If there was no competition in team events, I wouldn't have played the game competitively.
Yeah.
Because what was interesting me at the very first was to compete against others and compete with friends and compete with people, like people against people. And I felt like I was growing more and I could have better performances if I was playing alongside people. And if there was no team cups, then I would probably have played solo cups, or I wouldn't have played the game at all, probably competitive. I would have stopped maybe after 2 years if I saw that there was no competitiveness in the game.
Okay,
I find this kind of competitive aspect in the game after a break in 2010.
Yeah.
I came back because I wanted to play those team games and team matches, and it's still really motivating me, and they're really fun to play those games, those matches. So without that, I don't think anyone would ever become what he is now. Or at least a handful of players.
Yeah. We touched a little bit upon what the future of Trackmania is in terms of Nadeo wanting to host something, and they hosted this year the first ever Trackmania Grand League with a beta season. What is your overall aspect or view of the Trackmania Grand League and how it played out? Because it's been a long season, or a beta season.
Yeah. Well, there's obviously a lot to say on this matter. I think it's a really good. What's the word? Let's say opportunity that Nadeo gives to the players. It's a really good. It's really good to start something new.
Yeah.
In the game, I feel like. But I think the manner that they did it was a bit like some aspects were really good, some aspects were less good. But in general, I think it's really positive what they did. And I am excited to see in the future how it's going to grow. But I think that what they made is the beginning of something that will make the game take a different path and take a better path, maybe. Let's see.
And if you would have any feedbacks to give them for a change until the season 1 that is coming up already 5th of January, what would that be from the beta season until season 1?
I feel like the laps, the cup mode was a bit boring to watch after a few times. Like I obviously watched the first times to see how it was going and stuff. And then after 3 or 4 weeks, then I was just looking at the results or the end of the matches to see the last map. But I felt like the matches were too long and with no real battle most of the time. Players are too spread out on the map. You don't know where to look at, etc. Well, I will start with the bad aspects, okay? Then I finish on the good aspects.
Sure.
Then the maps themselves looked a bit off sometimes. Like there were maps that were really questionable, like the forest or the mushrooms or I don't know how it's called. Both those maps are really questionable, I think. because it's not an exact science, so it's a bit random and stuff. But the maps in general, it's like they tried to find out what they wanted in the maps during the whole beta season, and I hope and I think that they found what they wanted for this competition, for this kind of maps. And I think they want to create a kind of a TMGL style. Like there's tech, there's dirt, there's full speed, and now there's going to be TMGL, but it has to be a really defined style. And I think they want to find out what their style is. So they were searching a bit about the style of the maps. So I hope they found out now what the style is. Yeah, that was a very long sentence.
But you built a map yourself. How did you then build a map for that, and how did you try to build a map?
I was not finished with the first question.
Yeah, we can come back to that, but just popped in my head since you talked about maps.
Yeah, true. I like it was the first steps where it was like almost only Nadeo maps, and the maps were a bit weird, and people were complaining a lot and stuff in the Discord server. And I saw Hylis that was written a lot of. He was justifying his choices in the maps, what he wanted in the maps, what he wanted the spectator to feel in the maps, what he felt like the maps would look like. And I got all of this in my head, and I felt like, okay, it's the time to show that community can do such maps. So I really listened carefully. I was reading carefully what he was saying, and I tried to retranscript this on one map. So like when he wrote this on Discord, then I instantly opened the editor, and 1 hour after I got a map out of it. And I tried to bring every aspect of the game. So not big scenery that can cause the spectator to wonder what the fuck is this, or like represent different styles of the map. So I tried to put a looping, I put dirt, I put jumps, I put tech, I put grass, blue part, you name it. And I tried to put as much as I could that could represent the game in one map. And then I sent him in private message. I said, okay, Hylis, I listened to what you said. I just did the map. What do you think of it? He tried it, and he instantly replied, oh, that's great. That's exactly what I want. I see a few things that could be better, but in the spirit, it's exactly what I want and what TMGL needs. Blah, blah, blah. So he was really happy with it. And he invited me to a conversation with the biggest names of the game, like Riolu, Spam, Softy, Kisla, I don't know who else. Well, everyone that was directly concerned with the TMGL. And he said, okay, present your map, show them, and it's exactly what I want and stuff. So I was talking, I was saying, okay, my map is like this, is like this, is like this. I gave them a reply. And then everyone was saying that this map looked a lot better than the maps that they already played in the first steps. So then Softy told me to fix a bit the map regarding what Hylis told me. So I made a V2 of the map, then a V3, and then the V3 was the final version, and it got picked. And it was clear from the beginning that they would pick this map when Softy told me that I just had to fix this and this, and then they would pick it. So I knew that it would be picked, and I tried to make it the best possible with all the Hylis criterias. And then thanks to that, I think they opened a map request for the community. So we saw more community maps than thanks to this map I sent, I think. I don't know if they would have done it if I didn't send the map, but probably, because that was the talk that people saw. But I showed a high list that we could make good maps that looked like what he wanted. So that's it.
And then get back to the question about the overall feedback from or the changes you want to happen.
Yeah. So I talked about the maps, that the maps look like it's a style. So I don't know if I want them to change it, but at least make it exact science and not random or not too difficult. And the laps mode, I feel like it's a bit boring to watch. Everyone was saying this, as far as I can remember. I enjoyed a lot more watching the playoffs with maps with start and finish than the laps mode that lasts for 10 minutes. So yeah, maybe not do laps, like do maps, but a bit longer maps, maybe 1-2 minutes, but not laps that last for 10 minutes. And the point system that feels really unfair. I feel like that you lose your points if you finish beyond 8th place. So that's really a bummer. If you're playing, if you have a mistake, if you have a freeze, if you have a disconnection, then you lose all your points. It's really raging. So I don't think it's the best. It's the best point system, really. Like community gave a lot of ideas of point system, but it doesn't feel like they're gonna take it into consideration. So for season 1 and beyond, then we're probably gonna see the same point system, which is a bit sad. I think they could make it less punitive, but whatever. And yeah, that's what I see as negative about TMGL. What I see positive is the exposure that is going to bring to the game and stuff. The fact that they ask Solari, that is a really big move to cast it, to get a lot of viewers, a lot of maybe new players into the game, because that's their ultimate goal with the TMGL and with Solari casting, etc. They wanted, they had a German caster, they had a Polish caster, Chinese caster, so they tried to get a lot of influencers in all the regions and all the languages, and that's why I think they want champions from every region of the world, is to have a cast of influencers for every region of the world, and to have new players to refer themselves to their champion. See, the Portuguese champion for the Portuguese player, for the Portuguese new players, he's really good, I want to be as good as the Portuguese champion, blah, blah, blah. That's an example. And I think that's what they try to do, and I think it's really intelligent, and
But do you feel like that worked out though? Because you had in the season, let's say the Portuguese player, Burst, he was playing, but he basically had no chance at winning it. That maybe if there were a Portuguese player or a Portuguese viewer, that he wouldn't care too much, because in the end, the Portuguese hope didn't have too much of a chance at actually competing.
Yeah, he didn't have too much of a chance, but I think he showed potential, and he was playing good. And for new players, the strategy is maybe to say that they want to refer themselves as their champion, and they want to become as good as him. That could be a thing, even if he's not the best, even if he's not in the top 8, even if he finishes last in the map or in the step, then maybe people are going to be, I want to be me instead of him next time, or in a few years or something, and some people get more motivation to play instead, you see.
Yeah.
So it's not like because there's a bad performance or not the best performance that is not going to work. But I think it's too soon to say now if it works or not to bring new people, and I don't have the answer, because I don't see I don't have statistics or whatever. I don't know if it worked to bring new players, but I hope so, and I hope with season 1 that it will be even better. And yeah. So Larry said that they want to cast the next season. So I don't think Nadio has anything against it. So it's going to be a lot more advertisement for the game. So that's really good. And yeah, but I just hope that it works, that the Nadio strategy works to show a lot of different aspects of the game in the maps, and that it gives will for people to buy the game, because that's the goal.
The info we have about the Trackmania Grand League season at the moment is that the next season there wouldn't be any qualifications, at least to the main season. It will be 16 reserved slots. Some people have been reacting to this. What is your reaction to it, that now it would be up for organizations to pick who the players they would have, and then eventually SoftTB can say, okay, you cannot have this player because it's not good enough, so we don't end up with the same skill gap as we had in season or the beta season?
Yeah. Well, at first, we have to wonder if they want players from all the regions, like the beta season, or if they want a bit less diversity. Because in some regions, France, Germany, Austria, or I don't know, the Netherlands, there is a lot of players that are good enough to participate and to be in the 16 best. So I don't know if there's going to be the same proportion of French or German players, but I think so. So I think that's a bit sad to close the doors to players that have the chance to compete, but they can't because there has to be other regions of the world. But all of this is like a strategy with Nadio, that they want, as I said, maybe a influencer for each region. So it's like, well, I already talked about this, but I feel like the 16 reserved slots, it's like weird, because like people want to know. I mean, I'm okay with the choices that they make if the choice they make are if it's good choices. If it's good choices, I'm okay with it, and if it's explained, if they explain why they do this, why they took this guy, why they took this guy, what's the strategy behind all of this, etc., then I'm fine with it. But if they leave us in the dark like they're doing right now, then it's not that good, I think. And they should be more transparent about what they intend to do. But I hope, like Softy said, there's going to be announcements soon. So I hope that they're going to announce everything, and that is going to be crystal clear for everyone. And yeah, I just think like some people reacted to it saying it wasn't fair that there was 16 selected, etc. But I think that we don't have all the information, and we need to have all the information before saying anything, because it's like 16 selected players, but there's an open league, and we don't know if the open league players can qualify for the actual Grand League, etc. So all of this we don't know, and we have to wait and see.
You heard some SoftTB speaking about some organizations coming into the game and maybe into the Grand League, that maybe the organizations would pick the players. Has Fury heard anything about it, that maybe they can pick a player and send a representative to the Trackmania Grand League season?
But as far as I know, I didn't get contacted, and Mick Quattro and Razor didn't get contacted as well. And I didn't hear anything from Fury, so you can assume that we are not in the selected players.
But doesn't that feel weird though? Because you have organizations. If you have organizations being played in Trackmania Grand League, and your team is basically the team that wins all the team events, it's basically the best team at team events, doesn't get a spot.
Yeah, It feels weird indeed, but maybe they select the players. I don't know how they select the players, but for me, I would understand that they don't select me because there's Brian, there's Papu already that made it to the finals, so they cannot select me over any other on any of those players. It would be insane. But for Miquatra and Razor, for example, which showed a lot of potential in offline events. Both are in the Nordic, would be in the Nordic region, and there's also Danste who made the beta season. So I think Danste got picked, and he also has an organization, and he's the only player in this organization. So it's like bingo for the TMGL. And I feel like they take the experience of Danste, who already played and didn't do too bad in the beta season. That would be more logical.
Yeah.
But Miquatra was really close to beat Danste in the Nordic qualifications. So that's like I don't feel it as unfair as long as Miquatra has a chance of making it to the Grand League with the Open League, for example.
Yeah.
If the Open League is like a bridge to the Grand League, then I say yes.
Yeah, how many players in your squad have said that the Open League is something that they could actually try out to eventually come into the Grand League itself?
I would say 3 or 4.
Yeah, okay.
It's like mostly our players are like really good at tech, but not so much at dirt or full speed, you know.
Yeah.
And Razor, Miquatra, and me, I think, are the best all-round players. So I think we are the only ones interested. Maybe Complex would be interested, but he didn't talk to me about it, and he didn't do the qualies for the beta season in the Netherlands. So I would assume he's not interested. But we didn't talk really about it. We just talked it in private, but not in general chat about it, because I know that some of our players are not, just don't care about Grand League.
Yeah.
But you said before the question for the organizations if it's good to bring organizations into the game, and yeah, we saw like Kappa with Sauber. That's going to be the representative, but seeing one player for one organization, I feel like it's going to be a lot far-fetched, and it's going to be a mess, in other words. Yeah. If you see Solari with Bren and Carl Jr., one of them is not going to play, or there's going to be like a favor treatment for one of them that still can play. Like if the two Solari players are playing, it feels a bit unfair for other people, because it should be one organization, one player. But I would understand that both of them participate. But if they can't both of them participate, then one of them has to leave Solari, and that would be really bad for this player to leave Solari, for example. I feel like if Miquatra and Razor could qualify to the Grand League, then one of them is going to play with Fury, and the other one has to find another organization. So they really try to separate the game and to really professionalize it. And that's what I see. And I don't know if it's good when we have such history of team games, Gamers Origin with Aurel and Papu. If both of them want to participate in the Grand League, then one of them has to leave Gamers Origin, for example. Same for Fury, same for Venture. They have players that can participate. M&M they can't, basically, because Pack is in here. So if one M&M guy wants to participate to the Grand League, then he has to find another organization, etc. So I feel like we don't have all the infos, but as I see it now, it could be a mess.
So you think maybe it's too fast and too soon to jump from this team-based, or when you have more players in an org, to go to one org and one player?
Oh, I think it's not too fast. But if you think like this, it's never gonna change. Like, it has to be done. If you want TM to be competitive, then it has to be done to split the players in the teams. Well, it doesn't. I don't think it has to be like one org, one player, but it's a way of doing it. It could be one org, two players, for example. It could be, but one org, one player. It's really to professionalize a maximum Trackmania, and try to make it appealing for new orgs and for new tournaments, new investors, you name it. And I don't think it's too soon. I just think that the people deciding behind those decisions of one org, one player, trying to break down a bit the history of the teams, etc., don't really care about the team events. And they're just like, oh, team events are not going to bring anything to the games. We want to focus on bringing organization and stuff. If players want to play, then they will just adapt. And I think they're right, but it's a bit hard for us, for sure, who built something over the years. And but this should have been done, I think, years ago, before everything. Like, it should have been done in the very beginning. It should have been the core of the game to make one player, one org, and to have tournaments like that. So I feel like it's a bit late to do it, but it's like necessary if you want to make the game evolve.
But do you think Trackmania Grand League is a direct result of ZrT hosting his ZrT Trackmania Cup, or would this have happened anyway?
I don't know. I think Nadio got inspired a lot by the ZrT Cup. But I don't know. I think TMGL would have happened. I hope so, at least, that they would have tried it even without the ZrT Cup. But I think the ZrT Cup showed them a lot of potential to the game, and that they gave them more motivation to do something on their own finally. And when Hylis was talking in the Discord, he was saying that he wants maps with big jumps or something risky, and when one player makes it, that the crowd gets up, etc. So he really describes what he saw during the ZrT, like when a player was making a really difficult cut that was gaining 10 seconds, then everyone was standing up in the crowd and stuff, cheering for him. And that's really what Hylis got inspired from the ZrT. So I think he and Nadio got a lot inspired by the ZrT and by ZrT. And I think it has been a good essence to their ideas and stuff. I don't know if TMGL would have happened without it, but I hope it would have, but maybe not in the way we know it today without ZrT.
And you're a French speaker, you understand probably ZrT better than at least I do. What is your overall assessment of the ZrT Trackmania Cup and ever since it's come around?
It's just sick, The hype it brings around the game is like really great. Like, it's because of him, or thanks to him, rather. It's really the game became really popular among all the streamers and personalities and influencers in the French community, at least, and the other communities. I assume he made the game really a lot bigger than it was before he starts, and it's like the all the hype around it and the way of doing it and stuff is like really insane, if you ask me. And ZrT has a gift to do things, and every event he creates is a big success. So we were really lucky to have him getting interest into the game. And yeah,
But what
That's
was
it.
your first impression of it, and when did you eventually find out? Was it already the first cup in 2013? Was it the third or the second and third in 2015? Or when did you find out
Uh,
about it?
no, I found out. I think I didn't know at all about the first, second, and third cups, and I heard about it the first year before it becomes an offline event finals. So I don't know when this was, but it was either the third or the fourth. I think it was the third.
Yes.
Um, if ZrT Cup 4 was the one in finals, then I was watching the one before.
Yeah.
But I didn't get too much hype before. But then when I saw that it was something becoming really huge, and you can't like just feel nothing for it. And when you see those players being cheered by the crowd, and that you see that your game is so much on top of the scene with so much people around it and so much hype around it, then you can only be happy and you can only be part of it, like want to be part of it. And that's what I want to achieve also in the game.
Yeah, we saw you this year trying out with Mi Quattro, I believe, in the duo mode. But had you tried out playing before that, or was this your first year?
So it's 2019. I played last year and I played the year before as well. So I did ZrT in 2017. I trained and I trained a lot. And I reached the round of 8. So just before the quarterfinals, before the ZrT streams every match live, that was my goal, to reach the quarterfinals. But I failed to do so. I finished third in the qualies in this round of 8, so I didn't qualify for the quarterfinals. But it was like really hard to train the maps, because of course it's not like my kind of maps, But even though I can play anything in the game, playing ZrT is like a whole different level. And it's really hard to train those maps and to find fun to train some of them. But I eventually got my shit together and could train a lot. It didn't work. Then in 2018, I didn't train at all. I think I trained like 2 days before the ZrT Cup, and I went out in the first round, so I didn't care at all. And because I didn't like the maps, I didn't have time. It was not appealing. And then I regretted it when I saw in the stream all the hype around it, all the crowd and stuff. I was like, damn, I should have tried. And then this year I was really motivated, and with Mi Quattro, we really wanted to make it to quarterfinals at least. We trained a lot. We did intelligent training and stuff, but it was not enough. We trained a lot, but we didn't train the best way. We didn't our efficiency in the training was not the best. We were just playing the maps, but we were not training enough on our difficulties on the maps, and that's why we didn't reach quarterfinals. We reached round of 8, and just before the round of 8, my PC crashed. Something that never happened before. Like my PC turned off completely. Then when I tried to start it again, then it had blue screen and stuff. I was a bit panicked because it was time to play, and my screen was blue. I couldn't log in. I couldn't start the game, whatever. And they were waiting for me and stuff, so I was really panicked. And when I finally made it into the game, then we started instantly. I had one warm-up, and then we started. And we both played really bad because I was tilting, and we were not inside our match. And we missed our chance to make it. But we could have. But we missed our chance. And hopefully next year it can be in duo again. If we are still together, we can prepare better and have more luck on our side. Also, the map pool for the round of 8 was really bad. It was maps that were not good for us. So a bit of unluck as well.
So it's safe to say that already you're planning on playing the next edition, which will potentially be a last edition from him.
Do you think it's going to be the last?
Yeah, he said he doesn't know if it's going to be last or not. He always wants to take it a step above what the previous years have been, and from my understanding, it's hard to take it above Bercy.
I think he said I watched your interview when you interviewed him, and I think he said that people always want something bigger.
Yeah.
But that if they take Bercy, they took Bercy, but they don't have to take something bigger every time. So they don't want to disappoint people, but it doesn't have to be all the time bigger. But I don't remember him saying really that he wanted to stop. And I don't think that I heard this somewhere else. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe you know better than me, but
no, I don't know anything. I don't think it will be the last either, but it just some rumors are out there that potentially it can be.
Well, if it's the last, then I will try even harder then. And yes, of course I will participate, and if it's in duo, then we'll try to make the best possible out of it, because in duo it's like easier, let's say, to qualify than in solo. And there's a biggest opportunity in duo than in solo, I feel like. And I will for sure try my chance. Yeah.
So you would prefer a duo mode over a solo mode, or?
I would prefer duo because it's more fun to train in duo and know that you have someone to back you up and that you train with him and you share your strats with him, etc. Well, you can also do it if you're in solo, but if you're in duo, then it's for both of you that you do it. And I always like I like to play with someone and make a result with someone, and that's why I like team comps as well a lot. Is because I like to make it a team effort and to win as a team. It's a really good feeling. So win as a duo is a really good feeling as well. So I would prefer as a duo, and I also feel like it's better to play against duos than against solos. There's more possibilities. And for the show in the offline events, in the offline finals, then it feels like the show is really bigger in duo. I had a lot more fun watching the duo finals and the duo quarterfinals even than the solo ones.
But let's say that you doesn't qualify. Would you go then to Paris to watch it as a spectator, or would you prefer to watch it from home?
I would watch it from home.
Why?
Yes. Because it's too costly.
Yeah. But this is because like a once in a lifetime. Let's say that it is the last one. Then you would feel bad about not going, right?
Well, then it needs to be not sold out before I decide to go there. I think they like got 80% of the tickets sold or something. It's like insane.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Or I think they got like 70% within a few hours, or I don't know. It was fucking insane when he said it.
Yeah, but
I could go there. I could, yeah. But of course, it's like as a player is the goal. But if I don't, then it must be an experience to go there as a spectator. It's like a really good experience in your life, I think.
Yeah, it's mental. But talking about duo events, we have a duo event that is closing up this weekend. It's from Zero to Hero. You're not playing it. Why is that?
Because I felt like I would have not enough motivation to play for consecutive weekends for 2 months. And at first I thought it was every weekend that we would play. So I was like, I have to play every weekend for 2 months, and I was not motivated to do so. But also I felt like there would be like the road to get this money at the end, to get to get the money at the end would be too long for what it's worth. Like you have to play a lot of matches and win a lot of matches to eventually make it through. So it's like a lot of effort. And also because I work sometimes on Sunday, so I thought that I would not be able to attend also. And also because I have in general less motivation to play the game and to train. Like I train when it's necessary for team events or for solo cups. But if you add on top of that another competition at the same time, then I would have burned out and just to engage myself in something I would not finish. So I just prefer not to play.
But how would you sum up the From Zero to Hero? Have you tried to follow it? Because at least you as a French speaker, you can watch Nekura cast it.
Yeah.
But do you follow it or?
Yeah. I watched a few matches in the group stages, and the playoffs. I watched matches a few times, and it feels like it's really back and forth matches, and that anything is possible for those teams. So it's like interesting to watch.
And you have no choice at not following it because it's a bet in the Trackmania betting league. You're leading that Trackmania betting league. Can you tell us?
Yeah.
You have a deadline today. It's in 6 hours. You have to put your bet down from Zero to Hero. Who do you think is going to win it?
That's right. Thanks for reminding me. Maybe I would have forgot.
Oh, fuck.
I see Complex and Novice winning it. I think they are the strongest when they're started. Then they cannot be stopped, and I think they will win it. But it's not like 100% sure, of course. So their match against Beat and Revolution yesterday, and I think those are as well good contenders for top 4. So there's also other teams, of course, that can make it, but I think they are above the rest because they can be really consistent and really fast. So I think they have the upper hand, and they also feel confident. So I would put them in first.
But talking about the betting league, I won the season 1. Now you're looking to win the season 2. What is the secret of winning the betting league? Is it just to follow everything? Is it to look at certain stuff? How did you eventually look at events that you're going to put some bets down for?
You won the league the first season, but you asked me some advices.
Maybe I joined in season 3 and I need to understand your mentality so I can beat you then.
Fair enough. I don't know. I try to imagine what the best outcome is going to be, and I try to study the teams, the opponents, and the contexts, etc., and try to inform myself a bit, but nothing too crazy, of course. Yeah, I'm not like looking around all the time and asking everyone, but I don't know. I guess I just had a bit of luck, and I can feel like when someone is gonna pop off. For example, Afi and Coco in the Air France. I think I was the only one to put Coco, and I was sure that he would perform. So I don't know. I try to do my own bets and not look what the others do. And also because I know a lot of those players and I know how they behave and who's training more, etc. So for team events, also it was easier to bet on my team. But I don't know. I just try to examine a bit beforehand, and then try to have the luck.
But now looking at, I think we have From Zero to Hero left, and then the competition premiership in the team events. Do you try to then try to copy other people, or would you still bet your own bets?
If I feel like my own bets are really certain, or I'm really sure about my own bets, then I would. And yeah, that's it pretty much. I maybe the only who can challenge me in terms of points, who's really close, is Mephisto. So I will see what he does, and yeah. But I saw him last time. I put something, and then he put something instantly after, which was a bit different. So he tries to take points on a bit different bets. So I will see what he does, and I will do in consequence as well. But if I'm sure of myself, then I will for sure bet something different.
Yeah. But I don't know if you have seen a trophy that is pretty big, but if you win it, would it be your biggest trophy that you have in your collection? If you have something bigger, you need to send a picture of it, because this is massive.
I didn't see it.
No? I put it on a YouTube video of it. I can send you a link afterwards.
Oh.
It's massive.
Yeah, I didn't win too many trophies in my life, but I won like one time a tennis competition when I was a kid, and I got a trophy, and it's like it's like 30 centimeters.
Okay.
So,
and
or
just
20,
a fun fact about the trophy: once Kappa was visiting me here in Norway, we shared a drink out of it. So it's some memories behind this trophy as well.
Then I will make sure to honor it if I get it.
But yeah, is there any? We are soon closing in on 1 hour or 2 hours actually. Normally it's around 1 hour, but you have broken the record already. But is there any topics that you feel that is left out of this? That maybe the future of Trackmania, maybe something else that you feel needs to be brought out there that you maybe have forgotten so far?
Let me think.
Let's say I have one question that is left, and I've been covering this game for now 1 year and traveling at offline events, but I've yet to see you at an offline event. When will we see you at an offline event?
Probably at Lyon Esport.
Lyon Esport coming up in February, the end of February there.
Yeah, I mostly because it's not too far, or I googled the travel costs, and it's not that much, so it's like really good for me, and so that's interesting, and also because there's a lot of hype around it. There's a lot of good players from other scenes than Trackmania that I would love to see in real life, and also if it's like tech or mixed style or whatever, then I would participate. But I would more certainly participate in mixed style. I feel like I would like more to play mixed style than tech. Yeah.
Why?
No, I like it.
Yeah.
If it's not maps with like random jumps and stuff, but like maps that have a lot of styles in it, then I would for sure be down. But yeah, I think I will participate. I will see with my organization, of course, if that's doable, etc. But even on my own, I could participate. And I feel like it's like a long time since I played last an offline event, so I would like to see people again, get this mood of a LAN event again, because I miss it. And I only did one offline event in my life. So.
And when was that?
Because when I started the game, I told you I was really young. I was like 12, and when I was between 12 and 16 or 18, then it was always like I felt I was not good enough, first of all, but I was not ready to go there and put all the training time in and stuff, and also my parents wouldn't let me when I was too young. So you have to know that if I participate to a LAN, it's not to just look beautiful, it's to make a result. And I don't know if it's a good way of saying it, but
It sounded, yeah. Okay.
It's not just to be part of the scenery, you know. It's to be there and to show I'm there. And last time I participate to a LAN event, and then I didn't do a good result, so that's why I was really disappointed, and I didn't do LANs since then. Is because I was a bit afraid of not performing. But I feel like it's time to come back and to do something. And if I participate, for sure, I don't say I want to win, because I know it's really hard to win, but I want to do the best result possible. If I can do a final, it's like insane, and that's what I want to achieve. And I don't participate on like some players that I know that just go to offline events without really training. They don't know why they go there and stuff, just to see people. If I do an offline event, it's to get a result, and if it's to get something out of it, performance-wise. So yeah.
So let's make that a goal for 2020, to see Link at an offline event and get an interview there. Maybe a winning interview, right?
Wow. Yeah. Dreams.
Dream big, right?
Yeah. Well, winner interview.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Why not? Why not? I said that to ZrT as well, so he's gonna attend the on esports. So maybe the first goal would be to actually beat ZrT at that event.
He didn't say that he would play TM there. He just said that he would be there, but he didn't even say that he would play. I think maybe he's gonna cast or something.
Well, I made a tweet about it and said that maybe he should top the 5th place from La Catalana. He said, yeah, maybe. So let's see. I hope he's gonna play.
Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, but of course, if we go there and we meet ZrT and other French influencers and stuff, he's really sick, because I watch these guys on stream very often, and to meet them in real life, it would be something insane as well. So it's also a big reason to go there. Among playing TM and trying to perform and see other players from TM community, it's also a big reason. So I hope it happens, and I hope I have the motivation at this time of the year to participate.
Yeah. Well, I'm out of questions. You have officially broken me after 2 hours. But do you have any topics left that you feel is worth bringing up?
I don't think so. I think we went through.
How does it feel to be the longest podcast ever? I've basically done like 70 podcasts, and you are now the longest one. I didn't think anyone would beat Softy, and then when Axel Alex did it, I said, okay, nobody's gonna beat him. But here we are 2 hours later.
Well, it feels like I want to pee. So
yeah, same. That's why I tried to run this up.
That's why we need to cut it off now.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for stepping up and giving all the insights to it. It's been really a pleasure. 2 hours flew by, and it felt like 30 minutes. But yeah.
Thank you as well.
And make sure to follow him on social media and such if you survived these 2 hours. That's it. Now I'm gonna pee. Bye bye.
Bye. See you.